Hi, and thanks for joining the S.J. Childs Show. The S.J. Childs Show brings value to families through education and resources. But the S.J. Childs Show isn't just about me. It's about us as a community. Join me as we help educate and support our community, help bring kindness and love and inclusion to all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch. I really appreciate all the support from all of the viewers and listeners, and I just want to let you know I want you to join me on this journey. Come and follow my social media, and let's do this together. Enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome to the S.J. Childs Show. I'm your host, S.J. Childs, and today I'm talking with somebody who I'm really excited to talk to because they're in my hometown, and I'll be able to really get some great resources out to my wonderful families, listeners, and viewers. This is Ben Trentelman, and he is from the, I'm not sure what UAN stands for, so I won't make it up, but it's an after-school network, so I mean, it's probably about right. So tell us about yourself and about the program.
Yeah, no problem at all. And you got it. We're the Utah Afterschool Network. And I'm the executive director here. I've been with UAN for going on to 8 years this year or something along those lines. We've been together for a minute here, which is great. And we're a nonprofit organization. We are not after school providers ourselves. We don't work directly with youth, but we're a resource for after school providers all around the state of Utah. We're a network. And so we help to convene those different organizations to come together, to work together with a unified voice on advocacy efforts. We provide training to after-school professionals to help to ensure that their programs are all high quality. We also provide professional development conferences, and we, in that network capacity, we're all about community building. And so we do a lot of community outreach as well. We try to work well within school districts, within the spectrum of the childcare industry, as well as any youth serving entities. We really, something that's really wonderful about after school programs in general is it's a really big wheelhouse. There's room for everybody at our table. We have the biggest table. And so if there's someone that is working in any industry that is benefiting youth, then they get a seat at the table. If there's someone that isn't doing something that's benefiting youth, then we still invite them to the table because they can share their experiences, or they can talk about their industry or anything along those lines. And so really, at our very base, we're a big network of lots and lots of people that care about kids.
Oh, I love that. And I am a mom, for one, children's book author. I love kids, love educating kids, love educating my kids as friends, and all of it that comes along with it. So this is right up my alley, and I really appreciate what you guys do. And just obviously I grew up in Reno, and you weren't around when I was a kid, but I participated in tons of after school programs. It kept me afloat. It helped my parents focus on their careers and do the things they needed to do while I was being cared for, basically. And I'm, look at me now. No, just kidding. After school programs. I'm a successful author and podcaster. No,
it's great. Yeah. Can I borrow your quote on that?
That'd exactly. Be great. Yeah, absolutely. Right. No, I think it's so important because kids really need support. And sometimes, families do the best that they can. And sometimes the time, the single mom that has to put in the extra hours that, is really supporting her kids and has to do this, those programs are so necessary to be available. How does a school or maybe a program go about finding out how to get in touch with you for getting involved?
Right. So we are a resource to, like I said, we primarily focus on after school programs, but we have an even bigger umbrella that is out of school time. And so that's before school, after school, summer programming, anyone that is doing stuff for programs, we're here for them. And so we're really easy to find. If you Google after school in Utah, we're the first thing that generally comes up.
Nice.
Or you can go to our website, utahafterschool.org. And if you go there, we actually have a ton of resources for after school providers, training materials, curriculum. This year we put out a whole toolkit on serving youth during COVID and operating safely and finding other spaces if they need to or anything along those lines. But it's also resources for parents. If a parent needs a program, we have a searchable map that has as many programs as we could gather information for. You can type in your city or your zip code and it just brings up a Google map and it shows you all the programs in your area. It shows you what age groups they serve, what types of activities they have, as well as contact information for those programs. That can be hard to find. And we're getting close to that time of year that you really have to get your name in there for summer programs. Everyone thinks that that planning for both parents and summer program providers, they think that happens like in May or in June, but really like right now, after school programs are really ramping up and they're working on hiring their summer staff and training their summer staff and making sure that they have the infrastructure to support them. But also for parents, like these programs fill up fast and there are not as many as there should be. And so even I know every program in the state and I know every summer program in the state, but I still find myself in that same bind that everybody else does. We're like, okay, when are they opening the registration? I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and they're going to open registration at 6 a.m. And so I'm going to be refreshing this thing every 3 seconds so that I can get my name onto the list to get my kids into this program, because we have to have care and support for our kids during the summertime because, I didn't have after school programs as a kid. I was absolutely, after school time, I was a latchkey kid. I'd go home, I'd give my dad a call on the phone and let him know that I had arrived home safely. But then everything that happened from that point forward was up to me and whatever circumstances presented themselves for me. And when I was a younger kid, it was definitely probably more cereal and cartoons. But then as I got older, I was put into other situations where there were risky decisions to be made. And I have friends that now as an adult suffer from lifelong alcoholism, a drug addiction, or friends that have died from those afflictions because we got started on some of those things at such a young age because we didn't have other options or other opportunities. And so, these opportunities for the summer or for after school are so important in helping these kids deal with things. And my daughter will be 12 in May, and I think about her as going into 7th grade next year and the situations that she's steered so completely clear of as far as exposure to drugs and alcohol, even at a younger age, sexuality and how prevalent that was for a lot of my friends when I was that young, and seeing friends that were engaging sexually while we were in middle school, and then I talked to my daughter and she's still, if we ask her questions about like, so are kids in 6th grade dating these days or what's going on with that? And she's like, yeah, sure. Some kids do, but I'm not interested in that. I don't want anything to do with that really, and it's like, we were on such a different field when I was her age. And that's one of those things that I really accredit to the fact that she has someplace to go that keeps her engaged, and she's surrounded by positive role models all the time, and they're giving her this guidance and helping her identify these other things to be passionate about and that she cares about. And so she's got bigger fish to fry. She doesn't have time to be interested in somebody else right now. That's a grown-up Alice thing, and right now we're focusing on kid
I love
Alice.
that. No, my kids are about the same age, 12 and 10. And I see that same thing. Our son that's 12 has autism. He's a little cognitively not on that, ability, but our daughter, whom is, 10 going on 65, like the old grandma Karen that she can be. But she's the same way. She's just like, she's so cool. Like, goal or interest oriented, and that doesn't have to do with the same types of things that I might have been at that same time period, and exposure to so much more, yet is independently like aware about it and has the wherewithal to kind of know when something feels right or feels bad. Thank goodness we install that stuff in our children, right?
Right. Totally. Well, and that's what's great about these programs. A number of the things that you talked about there just now are the independence and the exposure to all of these ideas, in what kids are able to learn in this capacity. And we were talking about programs getting taken for granted before. And I think that a part of that is the assumption of what takes place in these programs. And I think a lot of times, when people picture after school programs, they more picture kind of what is perceived as like a stereotypical, and I say stereotypical because I also don't want to put any type of blanket stereotypes on childcare or daycare.
Sure.
But there's the assumption that it's like, this is just another version of daycare.
Like recess with an adult around.
Exactly. And I say that I want to be careful about how I describe daycare as well, because it's also early child education.
Absolutely.
And it's very intentional, and there's a lot of meaningful stuff that is happening there. And so I think that they also move away from that definition as well and how they look. But in after school programs, it's very engaging, and it's all very intentional, and it's based on research and evidence and what is best for kids. And it's, again, a very big table and all the opportunities that are there for kids, and that it's kind of an extension of the school day, in that we're taking school day ideas and we're giving kids opportunities to apply the ideas that they're learning in the school day. And so it's not just bringing kids in and saying, hey kids, we're going to sit down and work on some more math today, but it's sitting down with the kids and we're saying, hey, we're going to apply these principles that you learned in your math class today. So for a higher age group, it could be something like, one of my favorite examples is a program where kids were learning how to build skateboarding ramps. And so they were learning about the physics of how that works. And it's like, if you have this type of an angle, it's going to shoot you straight up in the air. And this other type of angle, you're not going to get any lift. And so what do you have to do to address this? How do you calculate exactly what the angle needs to look like to get you going in the right direction? And then let's talk about everything that is going into building that thing.
Love that.
Which is really incredible. And so we're able to take these ideas and expand them in fun territory. So we're really re-emphasizing ideas that happen in the school day, and then we're also able to, all of the recreation is in there, but we're also able to talk about the intentionality behind those things. So if a after school program is going to do something that you generally would think of, like they're playing a game of dodgeball, we're not just going to play a game of dodgeball. We're going to talk about the team dynamic, and we're going to talk things through with kids like, hey, your team lost. How are you going to deal with that? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we're picking each other to be on each other's teams. Let's talk about equity, and let's talk about fairness, and let's talk about all of these things. And that it's not just having ideas to have kids occupied for this time, but it's having opportunities to find a pathway to a meaningful conversation and for engagement, and all of these things. And so we're able to take all of these ideas and really expand on them. And like I said, help the kids apply them in practical ways. So they're practicing all of these skills in several different ways, and they're rehearsing it, and they're under the guidance of trusting adults that they're building these amazing relationships with and everything, and while I didn't have after school care during the school year, I did go to a summer program. And what I don't remember were the activities that we did. I do remember some of the activities, but the things that stick out to me the most were the staff in those programs and the relationships that they had with me. And so that's really at the foundation of everything that happens in an after school program. It's really about the meaningful relationships between the youth and the adults that they're able to interact with in these spaces, and the bond that they're able to make, the trust that they're able to build, and the skills that they're able to build upon in their interactions with those adults. And that's where the power really is in that. And that also, in addition to these amazing interactions with these adults, it's also kind of like this unique third space that isn't really what's happening in the school day. It's not really what their main friend group outside of school, but it's this blending of all the different cliques, of all the different groups that interact. And we have kids, it would crack me up, because I ran after school programs myself for over 10 years. And a ton of the kids that would hang out in my programs didn't really hang out a ton during the school day. And they didn't necessarily hang out outside of the program. Some of them did, some of them blossomed into amazing friendships, but it really was just like, we come here because we get to hang out in this capacity and expand on these different things and work together on these different things. And even groups that didn't get along before, you get to see them come together and
Yeah.
build these new alliances in the school day and work together and learn about all these other cool things and break down these other stigmas and stereotypes about different groups and how they should be interacting, and they get to see each other for who they all are, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so important. And I mean, that is the absolute best definition I could have ever imagined for an after school program to
Right.
be so detailed and so many levels of care for the parents, for the children, for the educators, for the staff themselves to go through the training that they have to go through. I have a family full of autistic children and a husband. And what kind of services or after school programs are there for special needs? Do you have a separate type of classes for them, or are they all inclusive?
We really emphasize integration and inclusion for kids in programs. And so another thing that's important is that there are many types of after school programs all throughout the state, all throughout the country. There are a lot of different models. There are some programs that are community based, like YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs. There are school-based programs that are operating inside of schools that are run by school districts or through partnerships. There are faith-based programs. There are recreational programs. And so each one of those types of programs will be able to approach that really depending on what their resources look like. And so we do have, like, those larger organizations may have greater capacity and more resources to be able to say, hey, we are going to be able to make sure that our staff are properly trained to meet the needs of all the youth that come in here. That is the best practice that we emphasize that needs to be in place. You know, but there are definitely some that aren't quite there yet. You know, what we don't want to see, though, with that being said, is a program turning youth away. What we want to see is if a program is approached in that situation by a youth that I'd say aren't prepared to serve yet, is for them to reach out to us and for us to help to make some meaningful connections with other partnering organizations that can help provide them with support. There's an amazing national organization that's called KIT, Kids Included Together. And that is their focus, is empowering programs to make sure that they're serving all youth the way that they all deserve to be served and treated. And so we've seen a lot of great success along those lines. And I actually have been working with the Department of Health over the last month or so, because they actually addressed me with a similar question where they said, we have heard that there have been some programs that have turned some youth away. And like I said, I think that largely comes from a place where we have providers that are not informed on what all of their options are and the things that they can do to approach those youth. And so we responded to them immediately. And one of the things that we do is we provide a statewide assessment to programs all over to ask them which youth they're serving, how often they're serving them, what type of curriculum they offer. But now we're adding questions to that as well, asking them, how prepared do you feel to serve youth of all abilities? Do you feel like you have ample knowledge and resources to provide them with the support that they need in this capacity? You know, and so it's something that we try to broach in our trainings and everything along those lines. But this is going to give us a really good look at, okay, what are barriers that we're seeing, or what are perceived barriers to the access for these youth, and how can we respond to this? Because there are programs, if they receive funding from our State Board of Education, it's a requirement that they are not turning any youth away. And so in that capacity, again, we should reach out to them and say, hey, the State Board of Education has excellent resources in serving youth of all abilities. So let's tie into those resources and let's make sure that you have the knowledge and experience that you need to give the support that they need here. But then again, there are also other amazing resources and support and knowledge that are out there, you know, and I honestly think it's not any out of negligence or any ill intent that a provider does not serve a particular youth. But I think it's based in that instance of being like, I'm not prepared for this. I don't know if I can hire an additional staff who can give this child the individualized attention that they need. That seems like it's something beyond what I'm capable of doing, or I can only staff up to this ratio and I can't get anyone else in here. But there are resources to support them in doing that. And so we help them find those things.
Oh, and I hope that, there's enough people listening and we can share this to enough places that they'll know that these resources are available to them.
Absolutely.
So that they can take advantage of them, not take them for granted, but take advantage of them, right?
Yeah.
We want people using the services. We want our youth to be watched over, taken care of. And I love that you say that it's all done with intent, because I think that is so important, especially for parents, to give their trust in these programs as well and feel comfortable in wanting to search out for them for the desire of their child growing and becoming more empowered, learning how to have more social skills, more, skills, life skills. So fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, and giving those youth those life skills that they absolutely deserve to get to participate in, and also equipping all the youth that are in that program as well in getting to interact with these youth and having the opportunity to break down their own stigmas and to challenge their own ideas. And any program that I've run where we've had the opportunities to serve youth and to have that, to support that integration and the interaction with other youth, it always works out really amazingly. And kids are amazingly resilient and are incredibly patient and understanding. But also you model those things for them and they play off of what they see us doing and how we're interacting with others and everything along those lines. And so this really helps to build that community amongst the youth.
What do you do when you come across maybe a bullying or some type of situation that is kind of, going under the radar? How do you guys put attention on that?
Right. I mean, our biggest thing is we do look for learning opportunities. We look for opportunities to really, my approach has always been to lead with empathy and to think about what are everybody's circumstances.
Yeah.
In one point, we have a youth who's victimizing another youth by bullying them. But then to another point, that kid also has some motivation that is driving them to act in that 100%. Way. And so we're definitely not like, oh, Ricky, it's okay that you're punching Jimmy in the face repeatedly. Like, what's happening in your life right now? We definitely would respond to that situation appropriately and let them know that it's not appropriate and it's not okay, and have conversations with their family and things along those lines.
Yeah.
But really, in addressing and working with kids and talking about that overall sense of community that we have is really, we look for how we can rally around both of those kids because they both need some support.
Absolutely.
And so if we have a child that has been victimized, then we're going to talk to the parents about what is happening there, about how we can continue to support them, how we're going to make sure that the program continues to be a safe place for them, how we'll make sure that they feel safe in that space, and give them all of that support. But we are also going to talk to the child's family who is instigating the things and talk to them about what is happening. But we may also circle in the school counselor or a social worker that's at that school or administration at that school if we're able to, or if that youth has other supports, because we have had youth that I've worked with who have been, in counseling or have been getting other type of therapy or things along those lines. And so we'll talk to the parents about what's happening there, because usually it is an indication of something larger that's happening. Kids don't typically just act out. There's usually some motivation that's in there in that light, for me, something that's really great about after school programming is that we get to be very proactive in our approach in everything that we do, and so like one of my programs that I ran, for example, it was a middle school age serving program. It was out of middle school over in West Valley. And it was funny because as I was getting ready to start running that program, people would be like, ooh, you're working with middle school kids. They're the worst,
right.
And they'd also be like everyone's ideas and misrepresentations in their heads of all of these things came out in these instances. And they'd be like, oh, you're going to West Valley. It's going to be real rough over there.
Bring your protection.
yeah. I mean, but I didn't see those things. I didn't expect to see those things because I've worked with kids and teenagers for a really long time. But what I did see was a group of kids that were very caring, that wanted to be a part of a community. But we did see some of those instances still where we would see bullying, or we'd see, lots of joking around, negative joking and things like that, where you're just poking fun at people, where it's like just a level below full on bullying, where it's really like, we're just poking at the surface of this thing, And so like one of the things that we did there is we addressed it through the culture of the program that we were able to establish. And that's really great about these programs is you have this micro community where you are able to establish this culture that's unique to that space that you're in at that time. And so we had a reoccurring theme in the program that was to keep it positive. And basically what the idea there was to think about how you could take a positive approach to anything that you were dealing with, and that was something that we came to a mutual agreement with the kids and with the staff in the program, where we would basically say like, hey, there's a negative impact for even underlying jokes. If you say you don't like the music that someone is listening to, that will have a negative impact on them. If someone does something and you say you don't like that thing, that's going to impact them negatively. If you come in and you're saying, we're having this for snack again today, I hate this, it's so gross. Even that's a thing that when that other kid who's sitting next to you is like, I love the snack today. I wish we had this every single day. And they're like, I guess I don't like good snacks then, It's all of these little things that really kind of build up. It's like, death by 1,000 cuts that all adds up to everything that we were doing. And so we started doing little things and making little adjustments to our behaviors all throughout the program, and it would be little things where someone would come in and be like, oh, this sucks. And you'd be like, what's another way you could say this? Oh, I don't like this because of this. And they'd state the reason behind the thing and be clear about that. And it didn't bring anybody down. We did a music program in there where once a week, everyone in my group got to bring in any music that they wanted to listen to, and they'd put on their favorite song from that. But no one was allowed to react negatively to it. If you didn't like the music, then you could say, I really appreciate that you like this music. It's not really my jam. I prefer this and this, but I can see what you like about it. And the kids would get to talk about what it was that they liked about the thing. And they'd give a little introduction. This is this band. This is this song. It makes me feel this way about this thing, and it was really powerful because they learned a lot about each other. They learned about a number of different cultures. We had a very diverse group, ethnically diverse group of kids there. And so we had, traditional like mariachi music that was playing. And then we'd also have hip hop, and then we'd have country, and then heavy metal, and a little bit of everything. But we got to learn about what everyone appreciates about it. I believe that there are these things that we are inherently reactionary about, like the way, like you laugh, you have a laugh, you can't control the sound of your laugh. Your laugh is instinctive to you, and you didn't make that thing up. There's no way you can control what your laugh sounds like. And so you should never feel vulnerable for the way that your laugh sounds. And so when someone gives you a hard time for the way that your laugh sounds, that makes you question a part of yourself that comes from deep inside of you. And I feel the same way about how kids are, if they listen to music, as much fun as it is to poke fun about like people liking Nickelback or something like that, like those people like that band and they like it for a reason. Something about it resonates with them.
Exactly.
And it's really not fair for us to question why something resonates with them
or
and why it has
joy.
some sort of connection with them or something along those lines. Like, don't question somebody's joy. And that was really the theme of this program. And it really was amazing in that space because, like I said, everybody was accountable. And so if I came in and I said something negative, the kids would be like, Ben, can you think of a more positive way to say that? And I'd be like, thanks a lot. I'll rephrase that right now. And it also bled into parts of everybody else's lives. I had kids that came in and they were like, today during school, me and Janet were bored. And so we grabbed some Post-its and we put positive messages on a bunch of kids' lockers, and that was a thing that came out of the program that bled into other aspects of their lives, and so and it had the same impact on me too, where there would just be those instances, and it'd be like, oh yeah, I think there's another way that I can frame this. There's another way that I can look at this, and it works for everybody.
It does. And especially practice. Practice makes perfect, right? Like I post I call it today's mission, and I post a positive quote. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. And I started in an autism group that I run. And then I thought, Well, have 3 times as many people on my regular
Hmm.
page. Why don't I start impacting all those people as well?
Right.
And now, I see half to 3/4 of my friends doing it. And now I'm
Hmm.
just like, it's like this whole domino effect that's
Yeah.
occurred. And I just see how much positivity it's created in my friend list, in my community that, which is always what you want to see.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are skills that are so important to those kids at
Yeah.
that developmental stage of their lives. There's like no bigger bring down phase of your life than like 7th through 10th grade. Those are such rough years.
Yeah.
And to be able to have that idea of like, how can I reframe this? How can I look at this differently? What's another perception or perspective that I can put onto this to help me see this in a new light,
Yeah.
and I wish that I had more of those tools when I was younger,
Right.
and it's really powerful.
Oh, I love that. And I love how you've made it kind of your mission to
Hmm.
now provide this for the kids. And
Hmm.
so thank you so much from someone from Salt Lake City for
Uh-huh.
providing all of this for our kids and
Of
things out
course.
there. What is the website? Where can we find you to send companies or people that
Right.
want to find your resources?
Yeah, we're utahafterschool.org. And we're also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. If you look for Utah After School, we'll come up. We share a ton of different resources. We have very active social media. And again, these are resources that are good for parents or educators or childcare workers or after school professionals. It's all about really about building positive relationships,
Yeah,
and those are skills that you can use from adult to adult, you can use from adult to child,
absolutely.
child to child, any mixture of those things. They're skills that are transferable to anybody, and so we
Yeah.
have resources that are going to be beneficial to anybody. And then we also have a monthly newsletter that we send out that has a lot of different new learning opportunities,
Great.
access to webinars that we host, other professional learning opportunities that we have, as well as really useful information. We share out anything that we learn as soon as we can.
I love that. This has been such a pleasure, so informative. You've been an absolute fantastic guest. And I hope that we can stay in touch and have you back on in the future to find out, maybe on for summertime, find out what's
Yep.
going on for the summer and
Yeah, I'd
and
love to
do
come
all
back.
that fun stuff. So thank you so much for your time today. And it was such an honor and a pleasure to have you here. And to our listeners and viewers, please go and check out, especially if you're from Utah area, please go and check out Utah Afterschool Network. And I'll have all the links up on the screen and down in the description below. So we will definitely be in touch. Thank you so much, Ben.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hi,
It was great
thanks
to
for
be here.
joining the SJ Child Show. The SJ Child Show brings value to families through education and resources. But the SJ Child Show isn't just about me, it's about us as a community. Join me as we help educate and support our community, help bring kindness and love and inclusion to all. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch. I really appreciate all the support from all of the viewers and listeners, and I just want to let you know I want you to join me on this journey. Come and follow my social media, and let's do this together. Enjoy the show. Introducing Autism Vehicle Home Safety Kits, Emergency Responder, alert stickers, personal profiles with autism needs and a communication board, masks and earplugs, keeping families and emergency responders educated and safe. Get yours today at sjchilds.org. Helping autism families impact their child's developmental milestones through home relocation, community resources, and home designs. For every 3 homes Natalie Castro sells, she funds and designs a sensory room for a community center servicing individuals with autism. She volunteers to coach law enforcement, first responders, and ER nurses how to have a positive experience for individuals on the autism spectrum. The SJ Child Show, produced by SJ Childs LLC. Thanks to all my viewers and listeners for your continued love and support. And thank you to the guests of the SJ Child Show. It's been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you to everyone who continues to support me. Go to my social media
and let's build this community together through kindness, compassion, and education for others.